Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you all here. I remember some of the names from first semester. If you had me for a couple weeks in the summer, then you probably remember me. And then for those of you who haven't had me as a teacher before, my name is Vincent Wong, and once again, welcome to GS215, which is pre-anatomy and physiology. Today is just going to be like a quick orientation in terms of, I'm going to tell you where things are going to be. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to show you where things are going to be on the eCentennial, where you can find the resources and what to expect for the course in terms of evaluations and the format of the class. If you have any question at any time, please feel free to type it in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, this is kind of like a continuation of the biology that you took in the summer, the GS182. The last lecture you had in GS182, that was about body tissues, right? You learn about different types of epithelial tissues. You learn about organ systems, and so in this course we are transitioning to the individual body systems. Okay, we're going to learn about the cardiovascular system to start with. Then we're going to move on to more complex system like the nervous system and the endocrine system as we progress through the course. So basically, we will learn one body system per week, and there's going to be a total of 12 lectures in the course. Okay, so first of all, maybe I should type my name here. Sorry, that's my name, Vincent Wong. You can just call me Vincent. If you don't feel comfortable calling me by my first name, you can just call me sir. And you can reach me at this email. Okay, so if you have any concerns, questions, if you need extra help, or if you have, like, sometimes you have technical issues, you cannot access some files that I post, or whatever the case is, feel free to email me. I'm pretty quick with responding email. If you do not hear back from me for more than a day, then I probably did not get your email. Okay, I always reply students' email. So sometimes maybe there's a glitch in the system, or you sent it to the wrong person. That happens. There's more than one Vincent Wong in the college, apparently. And so if you don't hear back from me for more than one day, just send the email again. Okay, and I will definitely get back to you as quickly as I can. All right. I do have a phone number. So you call the college number, and my extension is 54144. But the best way to reach me is email. Okay. Now, if there are any kind of situation concerns that you feel like you need to talk to me in person, well, we can arrange like a virtual meeting, like a Zoom call individually, and we can talk it through. But I actually will be on campus for 2 days a week doing like in-person teaching. So if you prefer to talk to me face to face, we can certainly arrange that as well. I'll be on campus on Monday and Wednesday. Okay, so that's for if you want to talk to me in person for whatever reason. Okay, so like I said, the course is going to have 12 lectures, and it's broken down into 3 units. Okay, so we have like unit 1. Okay, so that's lecture 1 to lecture 4, and within unit 1 we are going to have a quiz. Okay, so quiz number 1, that's going to be worth 10%. Okay, so quiz number 1 will just be on lecture 1, which is the cardiovascular system. Okay, and then we're gonna have a lab quiz. Okay, you're gonna be doing the lab at home. You don't have to come to campus for it. Okay, everything is virtual for this course. So the lab quiz is going to be 2.5%. So you remember, right? Like last semester, you had to do the microscope lab and the beetroot lab, and you actually have to hand in something, right? You had to hand in like a lab report of some sort. So we do not do that in this course. Okay, I'll show you what the lab is, but the lab itself is just something that you do at your time, at your own time. It's not actually worth any mark by itself, but you will be doing a lab quiz, which would be worth some marks. Does that make any sense? Okay, so I'll show you what the lab looks like in a bit. And again, right, feel free to ask questions if you have any. Then you're gonna have a test. Test number 1, it's gonna be 20%, and that will be lecture 2 to lecture 4. Okay, and that's it for your first unit, right? So you see, you will only get quizzed on lecture 1, and then that won't show up on the test, right? I try to chop things up into smaller chunks so you're not gonna feel too overwhelmed. All right, and that's gonna be pretty much the same format for the other units. Okay, so for unit 2, I'm going to put here unit 2. Oh, I don't know why my pen is going really quick here. Just give me a second. Unit 2 right here. That's going to be lecture 5 to lecture 8, and you're going to have quiz number 2, right? Another 10%, and it's going to be lecture 5 only. You're going to have another lab quiz, which is another 2.5%. And you will have test number 2, 20%. It will be lecture 6 to lecture 8. Okay, so that's unit 2. And last but not least, you will have unit 3. And again, it's the same format, lecture 9 to lecture 12. You will have another quiz, but this time the lab quiz, I'm just gonna put quiz 3 here, quiz 3, and then the lab quiz is gonna be 5% instead of the 2.5. Okay, it's just that the last unit, it's there are a lot more information compared to unit 1 and 2, and so it's worth a little bit more because you would have to study a little bit harder for it. And of course, you're gonna have a test number 3, which will be lecture 10 to 12. Okay, so that adds up to a total of 100%. Okay, so that's what you'll be expecting in terms of the evaluations. Are there any questions about any of these so far?
Professor?
Yes, go ahead, please.
In last semester, okay, the test, we took test for all the units.
Sorry, could you speak up a little bit, please? I'm having a hard time hearing you. One more time, please.
Okay, and in the last semester, about the test, we took all of units.
For the GS182?
Yes.
Oh, really?
That's yeah.
That's interesting.
In lesson 1, I think until lesson 12.
Oh,
we
okay.
took 5 lessons. All these lessons in the test.
In the summer, you're talking about.
Yes.
Interesting. Oh, well, that won't be the case for this course, okay?
No. Yes.
Sorry.
In this case, we took just we mentioned about the test.
That's right. So for this course, it will not be the whole course, okay?
Good.
It will just be what I write here, right? So that way you can study a little bit at a time. You won't feel overwhelmed. All right.
All right.
Yeah, with one exception, which I'll tell you later. Okay, it's just the last quiz. The lab quiz, it's gonna have some pictures from earlier units, but don't worry about that for now. We'll clarify that later on. But all the big stuff, right? The test, 20% test, the quizzes, they are just going to be on the lectures that I have written down here. Okay, so I hope that addresses your question. Yeah, so what's on the quiz, right? What's on the test? If you had me before, just why don't we do a quick poll? I want to see how many of you had me in the summer, at least for the first couple of weeks, right? So I know what to expect. If you had me for the summer, for the first half of the summer, please choose A. If you had not had me before, please choose B. And I gotta say, I love the attendance. We got 27 people here, which is pretty much all of you, I think. Okay, so it looks like, you know, a majority of you have had me for the summer, for the first half of the summer. And the format is very similar, okay, guys? We're gonna have some multiple choice questions. We're gonna have some multi-select question. And just to refresh your memory, the multi-select questions are the questions that have multiple correct answers, okay? And you have to choose all of them. And you know, don't worry, if you're a little bit rusty on that, we will certainly do some practice before the actual test and quiz. And in fact, I will prepare you so good that you know, you will do well on your first quiz. Usually first quiz, the class average is really high. It's just, you know, something that I want to make it a little bit more accessible, right, to you, because you're just getting ready for the course, and then, you know, the difficulty will slowly increase, you know, throughout the course of the lessons. And there will also be a little bit of application questions, okay? But there will be no written response. Everything is just going to be, you know, multiple choice or multi-select. All right. In terms of the delivery of the lesson, okay, so what you want to do is you probably receive an email from me already. That's why you know to come to the orientation. It's the same link that you use every week for the Zoom meet. It's not going to change, so bookmark that and just use the same thing for every time we meet. There's some quick links here, and I want to bring your attention to the weekly schedule. Okay, so if you click on the weekly schedule, it will take you to this page. Okay, again, very similar to what you saw in the first semester. It will tell you when things are happening. I'm just going to pull up a bigger one for you to see a little bit clearer. So this is today, right? So today we had the orientation. Anything that is in red means we are going to meet together in a live session, okay? So we're doing the orientation. It's just going to be like 45 minutes or so. And afterwards, if you have not already, you will be doing asynchronous learning, okay? So you'll be watching the lecture recordings, right? Okay, for the cardiovascular system. All right. Now, the lecture recordings are much longer in many cases compared to last semester. So if this was a course that is done in person, we actually meet 6 hours per week. Okay, as opposed to the biology one, that would only be 4 hours per week, right? So there are extra 2 hours per week of content. Which is why the lecture recordings are going to be a little bit more in-depth and longer. Okay, so do pace yourself. You might not be able to sit through all of the recording in one sitting. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to do it on a Tuesday, right? You can do a little bit on the weekend or whenever you're free. But the key thing is you should watch all the recordings before you come to the synchronous tutorial, which happens every Thursday, okay, with some exceptions, okay? So Thursday we meet, Tuesday you do your own learning, okay? And I'll show you where to find the materials in case you aren't able to locate them, okay? So there are some exceptions. When we have a test, for example, like week number 5, we have a test, week number 10, we have a test, and then week 14, we have a test. Those weeks, we're gonna have the synchronous tutorial on the Tuesday instead of the Thursday. So that we can do a test review, right? Okay, I'm gonna give you review packages and we're gonna do it together and just make sure that you're ready to take the test on the Thursdays. Okay, so with the exceptions of the testing weeks, we will meet synchronously on Thursdays. Do we have any question before we continue? Okay, thank you, Ahmed, for confirming. And I'll assume the rest of you don't have questions. If you do, just type it in the chat box, okay? I will answer you. And here it tells you, you know, when the quizzes are going to be, right? So the first quiz is going to be week number 3. You know, we will probably do a little bit of review next week. We probably will have time, okay? Usually the tutorial, it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And then, you know, we will do some poll questions, some application questions, like practice application questions. We'll take up the study guide, just like last semester. You know, if you need extra help, I can always stay behind and you know, answer your questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You need to download this calendar, and you will know exactly when things are going to be going on. Okay, so let me go back to the home page right here. Now, to get to the contents, you probably are pretty familiar with, you know, how the eCentennial work by now. But you know, as a refresher, you can click on the content button right here. And you can see I separated the material into 3 folders for each unit, and then there is the lab, right? So let's just go to the unit 1 right now. So unit 1 will have cardiovascular system, blood and lymphatic, immune system, and respiratory system. And you want to click on the cardiovascular system. There's the lecture recordings. So you can see that's the PowerPoint slides. You definitely need to download the PowerPoint slides. Preferably, you would print it out and take notes while you watch the recordings. And then here are the recordings. So for lecture 1, there are 5 parts for the recordings. So I'm just going to click on the first one to show you. And it will take you to like a YouTube link, and you just watch it, right? So, you know, it's just me talking, and then sometimes, well, actually a lot of times, I will just go away from the PowerPoint and actually write some notes as if we are in class. You are strongly recommended that you take out a piece of paper during these times and just, you know, write the notes along with me, because these concepts are concepts that tend to be difficult to explain on the PowerPoint, which is why I choose to write it out as well. And as you copy, you probably will understand it a little bit better. Okay. Let me see in the recording here. Sorry, I don't watch my own recording, so I don't know where things are. But give me a second. I just want to mention something here. Yeah. So some, again, not sometimes, actually all the time, we will have some coloring. There's a lot more coloring in this course compared to before, because each system has its own organs, right? And the organs are quite complicated. So I'll be, you know, doing coloring with you, labeling with you, and all these diagrams that I'm using, they are all a part of the study guide, right? So that's why when you watch the recordings, you need to print the PowerPoint and you need to print the study guide. Okay, so let me show you where to find the study guide. Again, you would go back to content, and we're just going to go right ahead into the lecture 1 folder. And in the lecture 1 folder, right, that was the lecture recordings, PowerPoint, and then the different YouTube recordings. And then there's the study resources. So under study resources, there is the study guide. Okay, so if you click on the study guide, right, some of the stuff, like you might want to try to do it on your own, but that's what we would take up on Thursdays, right? So when you come on Thursday, for example, this Thursday, right, we will fill it in together, okay? And then, you know, I'll take answer questions that you might have and so on and so forth. But for some of the study guides, like if I scroll down here all the way to the end, right, you will see, you know, that's the diagram that I was labeling during the recordings, right? So you will want to do that while you are watching the recordings. So I won't be repeating this in the tutorial on Thursdays, but I will do everything else that is in the package. Does that make sense? Now, you know, it's not going to, I'm not going to have enough time to go through every single questions. And a lot of the questions actually are, you know, quite self-explanatory. You can probably find the answers in the PowerPoints, right? So for the long answer questions, it's good idea for you to go through them before coming to the tutorial. And then during the tutorial, after I do everything else, I'll be like, you know, any requests from the long answer questions, right? So, you know, if you look at number 5, you're like, oh, this capillary exchange thing is, you know, too complicated. I want you to explain again. Then I could do it. Okay. So usually I won't be able to go through all of them. I'll try, but it's better, right, if we focus on the questions that people have trouble with, right? Okay, so go through that on your own, and let me know. And these are some practice application questions, right? I encourage you to think about the answers before coming to the tutorial, but then we will take it up together for sure. Application questions I always take up. Long answer questions is mostly by request, and everything else I will do my best to do all of them. Okay, so basically what you have to do between now and Thursday 12:30, you're gonna come and we're gonna meet again like this, right? But between now and then, you gotta print the PowerPoint slides, you're gonna print this study guide, you're gonna watch the recordings, and that's it. Okay, and then you come to class on Thursday, and then we will we'll talk about stuff. All right, it's pretty straightforward. The labs. Okay, so actually before the labs, sorry, I've been on the summer break, so it's I'm a little bit rusty. I have to slow down and maintain my train of thoughts. There's the crosswords here for any of you who wants to do them. I think I had crosswords last semester as well, right? These are pretty good for learning all the terminologies. So for example, you click on it, it's like the AV valve found on the right side of the heart. Does anybody know what the answer to that might be? Just out of curiosity, anybody watch some of the recordings or they happen to know the answer? The AV valve found on the right side of the heart. Yeah, so that's okay, right? You're gonna watch the, oh, go ahead, what is it?
Right side tricuspid.
Right side tricuspid. Yeah, so like you can solve it and you can see there's a tricuspid, right? So excellent, that was good. And then you can type in the answer, right? And there are a lot other terms that you have to know, right? Double layer membrane that surrounds the heart, right? If you don't know that, again, watch the recordings, you will know. So by doing this, it will help you build up your terminologies, right? And learn them much better. Okay. I assume you're not just taking this course for our program, right? A lot of you are going into healthcare related programs. So, in the practical nursing, for example, they also have anatomy. So a lot of these terms you will have to know. And if I had to guess, you guys will probably go back to in-person learning in your next program. So then you will have to write answers on the test. So learning how to spell these terms, how to write them, how to use them properly would be important. There are other resources, okay? There's a self-quiz. Some of you, I saw a few of you actually did the self-quiz already, so way to go. And these are questions that you can attempt as many times as you want, okay? Now, just a little note about the self-quiz. A lot of the questions in the self-quiz, because we have multiple teacher teaching the course, right? So a lot of us pull together to create some of these questions. And it's possible that some of the questions is not something that we've talked about. Okay, so if you see a question like, because like the emphasis for some other teacher might be different than what I emphasize on, right? So I don't talk much about the animal's cardiovascular system, but some other teacher does. So maybe there will be a few questions on it. So if you see a question that you have not seen before, or you're not sure if we have talked about it or not, feel free to email me and I will let you know about it. Okay, but the self-quiz is just, give you an idea of how much you know, and it does not count, and you can do it as many times as you want. The video resources, if you click on it, it will take you to a page like this. It's just additional videos that I, search all over the internet for you. Instead of you going onto YouTube and, look things up, I put them all in the same place. And if you're interested in some of these things, if you just want to listen to someone else explain the difference between artery and veins, right, you can watch these videos. Now the thing is, these videos often contains information that are much more in depth than what I tell you in class. So if it's something that I haven't talked about in class, you obviously will not be responsible for it. Okay, so the only thing you're responsible for on the evaluations, on the test, on the quiz would be everything that's in a PowerPoint, my PowerPoint, everything that's in the study guide, and whatever I talked about in the tutorial. Okay, so those are the only three things. All right. There will also be some other resources. If you need a refresher on anatomical terms and planes, you can watch this video from last semester. you know, the superior, inferior, lateral, medial, all those stuff. If you need a refresher, you can click on that. There are extra coloring sheets if you want. If you have a printer at home, coloring is actually an excellent way of learning all these things. So you know, if you want extra sheets, please print them. There are also 3D models. So I'm just gonna click on one of them here. This actually works on phones as well. I've tried it out. So you can click on it and you can move it around, and you know, you can point to things and it will tell you what it is. So that's the order. You can click on read more and it will give you a description of what it is. Okay. And you know, if we were doing this in class, you would be able to physically handle like a hard model. But you know, unfortunately, we're still virtual for this class. So this is the next best thing, right? Okay, you can just rotate it and see things from different perspective. Sometimes that would help. Okay, so there are various models that you can look at. That's just one of them, and there is another one. Okay, so for the more complicated stuff like the brain, I would have more models for you to check out. Okay, so that's it for the study resources. There's also the supplementary reading. Again, it's an online textbook. Is optional. Okay, I think my PowerPoints and the recordings are pretty in depth already. Okay, but for those of you who want to have, you know, just to read a little bit more and get more background information, you can feel free to use the online textbook here. And again, anything that is extra in the online textbook, you are not going to be responsible for them on the test. Yes, go ahead, Mohammed, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Good to see you again.
Yes, likewise. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so in the last semester, semester 1, I have seen that in the lab, we can easily figure it out what will be the lab, like as a beetroot, we know that. But I checked last night in these courses in the lab, but I didn't find anything, any subject or something like that.
Yep, I'm gonna talk about the lab right now. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. So again, that's it for the lecture stuff. Right? If you guys need help finding anything, just email me, and you know, I can walk you through it again. Okay. And of course, the tutorials and the orientation, all these things are going to be recorded, and I will post it on like a file for you to check, right? So let me just quickly show you where that is before I talk about the lab. So over here, again, the easiest way to do it is just to go back to the announcement I have here, and there is the virtual tutorial, okay, the yellow button. Okay, so you click on that, and you should bookmark this page. This link is not going to change. Okay, it's going to be same link for the rest of the course. So today is September 6th, and after class I will post the recording over here, and then you can click on it, right? Again, I encourage you to come to the tutorial, but for whatever reason, like if you have other commitments, you can't make it, that's okay. You can watch the recordings, you know, if you missed it. All right, so that's the link that you want to bookmark, and to get to it again, you just click on the virtual tutorial button right here. And you know, just like last semester, right, after each class I will post like a debrief, right? So I'll be like, oh, virtual tutorial has been a recording has been uploaded, and then there will be a link for you to click on it, right? So that would also work. All right, actually I should edit this right here. This is actually I forgot to update this. It says here you will need the document, blah blah blah. If you prefer a print copy, yeah, they no longer have this. Okay, they no longer have the printed version of the study guide. Okay, so you have to print your own. Okay, they sold out. Okay, we didn't order any new ones. Okay, okay, so labs. We're gonna go to content again. Content. And we're gonna skip through all these unit 1, 2, 3 stuff, and there is the lab. Okay, so lab 1 is for the first unit, so lecture 1, 2, 3, 4, and then lab 2 is for the next 4 lectures, lab 3 is for the next 4. Okay, so again, the labs themselves are not worth any marks. You do not have to hand in anything for the labs. Okay, so what do you do for the labs, right? So I'm gonna click on the labs, and it's going to be a PowerPoint. Okay, so you download this PowerPoint. I would recommend printing it out. Okay, if you don't have a printer, you can print it at the library, like local library, or you can print it on campus library. Or like if you have a tablet, you can write on it, but it's best if you print it out, and I'll tell you why in a second. And so, this is the lab, right? In a real class, when we do this lab in person, I physically would have these models. These are models that we have in the classroom, and I took picture of them, right? So in the classroom, you would be holding this heart, and then you'll be answering these questions on a lab sheet, okay? But we cannot do it virtually, so that's why I just took the pictures, and then you will have to answer the questions on your own, okay? So label A, so you will write down A is aorta. Okay, B is pulmonary artery, and then you would state their function. Okay, and you would do it for the whole PowerPoint. Okay, some of them requires you to watch a video first. And again, right, if there's some broken links which happens, just let me know, and I'll try to fix it. Okay, and you would just go through all these questions on your own. There are some simulation that you can do, right, to explore Boyle's law, and you would do all these things. There are like, I don't know, like 30 slides maybe, right? There are some microscope slides. And again, we would be looking at the real microscope in class, but now I would just be showing you these pictures, right? And you want to answer these questions. Okay, so you do all that on your own. And actually, we will also take it up together. Okay, like before you do the lab quiz. Okay, but it's best that you do it on your own first, and then we take it up, okay? Rather than you just copy all my answers, that defeats the purpose of, self-directed learning, right? And then once you've done this, you will do the lab quiz, okay? So let me show you where the lab quiz are. So under assessment, if you go to quizzes, you will see all the self-quiz here, and then there will be the lab quiz. So the lab quiz will be the first one anyway, will be available from September 27th to October 4th. Okay, if you look at our weekly schedule, you can see it's going to be due on October 4th, okay, just before the actual test. The lab quiz will have questions that are based on the lab, as well as multiple choice question related to each of the lecture. So I'll show you an example of what the question might look like. So here's one of the actual questions, right? You will have this picture here, and then it will say, what is the name of the valve located within this particular vessel? Okay, so if you go back to your to the lab, right? To the lab, where was the lab? I'll answer your question in a second, Tara. Okay, give me one moment. Okay, so if you go back to here, I just want to show you that so there is the heart, right? This is actually the same as this picture, right? I think there is going to be one that is exactly the same as that, if it would just load, or not, but it's probably there. Okay, but basically you're going to see these diagrams, okay, and then you're going to be answering questions related to these pictures, which is why you will have to do the lab. Okay, which is also why it's better if you print it out, because if you have a print copy, right, and you're doing that question, you're like, oh, I remember I saw that diagram. You can just quickly look up that diagram, right? It's okay, it's not cheating. Okay, like it's open book, right? Okay, when you do a test on the online environment, I expect people to have their notes. It's not realistic for me to think that everybody is going to put away their notes, right? So it's okay to have your notes as quick reference next to you. Okay. Now, the lab quiz is designed for two purposes. Okay. The lab quiz, number one, always happens before the test. So the first purpose is to serve as a review tool for you. Okay. It's very low stake, 2.5%. Even if you do bad, it's okay, right? It's only 2.5%, but it will help you prepare for the test, okay? And the second purpose for the lab is I want you to get perfect on these lab quizzes, okay? So if you add up all three lab quizzes, they are collectively worth 10%. So, individually, they don't seem a lot, right? Like 2.5, 2.5, but collectively 10% could mean a difference between a B and an A, right? Okay, so I want you to do well on them, which is why I will give you 2 attempts for all the lab quizzes, okay? And it will only be the best attempt that will be recorded, okay? So if you do I don't know, like 60% on the first try, and then you study more, and then you get 90%, then your final mark is going to be 90%. Okay, and the time limit is very generous on the lab quizzes. Okay, the quiz and the test a little bit tight, the time. Okay, but the lab quizzes, they are very generous. I don't remember exactly how long. It will tell you when you click on it. Okay, but you know it's gonna be, you know what? Why don't we find out? Why don't we find out how long it's going to be? Quizzes. What is this? This is lab 1 quiz. Edit. So there are going to be how many questions? 26 points. 22 questions in total. Some questions are worth more than 1 point. So 22 questions, and I'm giving you like an hour to do it. Right, that's really generous, right? I think that's really generous. Okay, that's almost like, you know, 3 minutes per question, almost, right? So you don't really have to worry about time. Okay, again, because I want you to get that 10%, so cushion your grades, and you know, have some safety net there. Does that answer your question? Ahmed has another question. What do we have to submit in the lab quiz? Yeah, so the lab quiz, right? Like when it's time to do the lab quiz, and you will know when to do the lab quiz because I'll post an announcement about it, and then you will also know because the weekly schedule will tell you, right? So the lab quiz will be due on October 4th, and usually they will be available starting the previous class. Okay, so if you look at here, again, it will tell you, right? It will be available on September 27th, and then you will have until October 4th to do it. Okay. Sorry, just 1 second, guys. Sorry, my kids have PA day today, so they're stuck home with me. She just want a snack. Anyway, so you can see when the lab quiz are going to be, and you just do the lab quiz like any other quiz or test. Okay, you just click on it and then do it, and you submit it at the end. Is that okay? Does that answer your question, Ahmed? Okay, perfect. I think that is pretty much it. I don't think I missed anything. Anybody have any questions that I haven't addressed? Any other concerns before we call it a class for today? Okay, well, if you do have questions, you know how to reach me. I'm super excited to have you guys for this course, and it's gonna be great. Okay, I will see you all on Thursday, this Thursday at 12:30 p.m. And please bring the study guide. All right, enjoy your day and see you soon. Bye for now.